Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Pavani. I hope you're all doing good. Today is 10th December, Monday today. I'm sure you all have enjoyed your weekend. I'm going to start with a very interesting quote. God gives the nuts, but he does not crack them. That means that we have to work hard. We can expect energy, power, courage and other things from God, but we have to execute. We have to work hard, right? If you want to achieve something, then you have to take action. God is not going to take action for you. With this, our pen drive and tablet courses are available for various different exams. A flat 50% off is available at present. This is going to last till 12th December. Make the most out of it. Visit studyiq.com to find out more about it. Today we have a few important articles. The first one is Death in the Air. The second one is Current Account Woes. I am going to start with this one. Then we are going to talk about this one, CAD, what CAD is all about. What are some external risks that are creating a bit of turbulence in our economy. The third one is going to be this one, written by former Supreme Court judge. And here in this article, Justice Kaju is talking about unimplementable orders. What are these orders and what it is all about? We are going to go through this one. Then we have this article, Tyranny of the Majority. The good thing about this article is that the front bit, right, the first half, this portion here talks about our constitution, and this is the most important portion in this article. The rest is more about politics, and then you have two political articles. So the first one, Death in the Air, it is based on this report that is released by this magazine called The Lancet. Now this name, The Lancet, is quite famous name, right? You find so many reports, many times, you know, reports brought out by this Lancet is published in the Hindu newspaper, or gist of it, or you know, some figures are, we always find, or I would say that the Hindu newspaper follows the Lancet when it comes to this sort of reports and figures and facts. Now, Global Burden of Disease report of 2017 is important for our country, as well as it is important for your examination as well, because you can expect a question you know, about this. This Global Burden of Disease report is brought out by which organization? So remember, it is the Lancet. Now, I hope this thing is clear to you. So if we go through this report and if we go through some specific figures about our India, then it creates, or it raises few red flags, because in year 2017 in our country, right, air pollution killed 12 lakh plus people. Can you believe this thing? 12 lakh plus people just in 1 year died because of air pollution. This makes, or this places air pollution on this, you know, top killers list, apart from various other diseases through which we are going. Then we have accidents, and there are few top killers, you know. You have TB, malaria and other diseases, and then you have this air pollution, and then you have road accidents. And so these are big, I would say, assassins, right? They are killing huge amount of people every year in our country. And just this figure, 12 lakh, is just, you know, it's just a small figure. Just imagine how many people in our country, they are exposed to this bad air, and they are going through various different, you know, they are in different stages of this respiratory diseases. So that figure is a bit higher than this 12 lakh. So it's a matter of concern, and it should be among you know, the highest policy priority of our country. But the sad thing is that it is not. Air pollution even today is not you know, on that top hit list or top you know, priority list. So that's a matter of concern. Now the other thing is, if we go through various different states of our country, or if you want to check it out, do one thing, right? Go through various like DD News is a good source, right? Doordarshan News. And if you go through Doordarshan News, you find that they show us this, you know, weather reports, and you have I think in, you know, periodically throughout the day you go through this, they will bring out this figures about this air pollution or air quality in various different cities of our country. Of course, they are spread in various different states as well. So all across the board, one thing that we find most of the time, right, is that bad air is there all across the board. If we go through this WHO, that is World Health Organization's standard, and the WHO's standard is that this PM 2.5, that is particulate matter size 2.5, right, it should be like 10 micrograms per cubic meter. That's what this World Health Organization recommends, that this should be our upper limit. But in our state or in our country, things are bad. No state's average was good enough for WHO standards. So that's a matter of concern. That also means that it is going to impact so many people, right? More people are going to die. Clean air can add, as per this Lancet, clean air can add 1.7 years to life expectancy in the lives of people living in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and Jharkhand. One more thing that I would like to add here, if you want to know more about this thing, PM 2.5. 2.5 is a size. So why it is 2.5 is a matter of concern, because this respiratory system that we have, right? We have this in our nose. We have a filter system, and the hairs, tiny hairs that we have in our filter system, the size of those hairs is 70, and this particulate matter is just 2 or 2.5 in its size. So it can easily bypass this. It can go through this filter system that we have, and because of this thing, because of its very tiny size, it can find its way to our lungs, and then it can create all these problems, respiratory diseases and other things. So that's what PM 2.5 is all about, and this is one of the main reasons why it is so dangerous. Now, when we talk about these states, right, there are a few states here, like say for example Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. These states are part of this Indo-Gangetic belt. I'm not sure how many of you were present or how many of you have gone through that lecture in which I have explained this. It was part of the Hindu analysis, of course. We have talked about stubble burning in detail, and I have talked about this thing called northwesterly winds. What happens in our winter time? At present we are going through, the winter is on, so winds are generating in this northwestern part. So we are talking about Central Asian portion, and from Central Asia it is entering our country, India, from Pakistan, and then from Pakistan to Punjab, Haryana and all these places, right? Parts of Kashmir and other bits as well. So winds are, this westerly winds are heading towards India. That's what happens in winter time. And when this stubble burning is going on, what happens is this wind will carry all this smoke, and it will spread this smoke throughout this Indo-Gangetic belt. So it covers this Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, parts of West Bengal, parts of Delhi and other places. So this whole populated belt will have this smog situation. So geographical reason as well as man-made reason. Like one man-made reason is this stubble burning. The other one is solid fuel is one of the main reason for household pollution. Now Ujjwala scheme, right, providing this LPG to poor families is a very good idea. It's working very well as well. But there are a few states, like say for example Rajasthan, Jharkhand. There are a few states over there you find even today, and it's not just limited in these two states. There are other states as well where you have this Ujjwala scheme going on. But remember, Ujjwala scheme is for poor people, and not every poor family can afford LPG cylinder at the end of the month. Right? Sometimes they have to use it, sometimes they cannot use it. So it all depends based on the nature and which area they are living. Nature in the sense what sort of situation, economical situation they are going through. So it's a bit complicated, but in a nutshell I can say that even today there are a few families, they have this LPG but they have to use this solid fuel. So the only way out is providing them something that is free of maintenance or free of cost, that you don't have to pay anything once things are, once your setup is done. So we can have this solar panels and then generating electricity and using electric stoves or using solar cookers. So this sort of schemes will help us reduce whatever household pollution at present we have. Because 1 hour exposure to this traditional chula is about inhaling 200 plus cigarette smoke. So you can imagine this impact that it can create on women's or this women's health, as well as kids too. They suffer. Stubble burning, as we know, just a couple of days ago, last week, we were talking about stubble burning, and I told you about this thing, this goat thing, right? High silica matter. Goats are capable of digesting this straws. So we need to look after, we can either go ahead with, looking after more goats, and then you can make money out of it by meat, leather, then you can have milk, so many other things. It's bones of these goats are used in various different pharmaceutical and other items as well. And there is again a new thing that is making furniture out of this straws. So that's again a very interesting thing that we can do. But until and unless, if farmers are not making anything out of this stubble, then that's going to be a sort of demotivation. So we need to create some economic opportunities for our farmers as well, that they can make something, their pockets can be filled up with a little bit of extra cash or extra money. Simultaneously, we have to work on this urban pollution as well, because so far things that we have talked about are predominantly about this Ujjwala scheme, or solid fuel using this woods and other things, or this stubble burning is something that is going on in rural area. And we need to work on urban pollution as well, like more, get rid of vehicles and using more clean energy. We have talked about this scooters, electric scooters, and there are other things that you can add on. So I don't have to explain more things on this thing, I believe. But what we need is, we need real-time measurement instruments. We need the ground-level monitoring stations for PM 2.5, because we don't have, if we go through and if we compare our pollution measurement instruments or this setup, then if we compare it with other countries, particularly developed countries, then we find that we are still lagging. We are still using this satellites and other pictures and other sort of things, from satellite, and that's not the best way. We need something on the ground as well. And last thing, but it's not the least, right? Most important thing is that it is on us. It is on citizens. Now, if we give, or if we don't give this particular topic, and this is the reason why things are still not up to the mark, is because even today, right, we have not taken this thing as a top priority for us. And until and unless, if a citizens' consciousness is not there, then government will not do anything about it, or political parties will not take it as a #1 priority issue. So without people's consciousness, nothing can be achieved. And same thing goes for, it applies here in this air pollution thing as well. Each and every individual, right, we have to take part. Whatever good we can do, whatever mitigating or mitigation steps we can take, we have to, if we want to get rid of this air pollution. But this difference, and the thing regarding air pollution is that it will not distinguish, right? It will not segment us, whether we are living in rural area or poor area, whether we are eco-friendly person or not. It is going to hit us all equally. So that's the thing. Current account woes. So first of all, let us understand what current account is all about. So current account is, it's an account that you use on regular basis. I'm being very basic here, or I would say that I'm using a very layman's sort of example. I want you guys to understand this thing. And one thing is that regarding economics or economy, they don't ask you questions, that they don't expect you to have PhDs, right, in economics or economy. What you need is, you need a basic good understanding, some solid understanding about economy and economics. Now, economy is more about practical side, economics is more about, I would say, theoretical side. So you need to have a good understanding. Basic understanding is more than enough in general studies, right? So keep this thing in mind. Don't be afraid of economics at all. It's not that difficult. This is something that we are doing on regular basis. Now, I'm sure we all are aware about this thing, that in any business, what you do is you purchase some item and you do sales and you do purchases, right? So when you purchase something, then money is going out, simple as that. And when you sell, or when you sell something, what you do is money is coming in. This is, I hope, clear to all of us. Now, at the end of the day, just imagine that if you have purchased items worth 5 rupees, and if you have sold items worth 10 rupees, at the end of the day, you'd be having 5 rupees extra, or you can say that you'll be in plus, isn't it? Because you have sold more compared to your purchases. So you'll be having 5 rupees plus. You will take it tomorrow, carry it forward. So next day you will start with 5 rupees, and then that's your next day. So that's your current account. Now, current account deficit is, here you have the surplus 5 rupees. Just imagine that if you have sold items worth 10 rupees, and if you have purchased items worth, if you have sold items worth 5 rupees, and if you have purchased items worth 10 rupees, so at the end of the day you'll be in -5. So that's what deficit is all about. So when we say current account deficit, we are talking about our India's India as a business or a country, its whole current account, whether it is in plus or minus. So deficit is of course in minus. And if we go through this latest figure that is released by RBI, we find that July-September quarter, it was 2.9%, or it is in 2.9% of GDP. This is 4-year high, which is a bit of matter of concern, because if we go back last year, then it was 1.1% of GDP. Now the thing is, let's go through some of the reasons, right? One primary reason behind this CAD is high oil price. Now 80% of our oil is imported, so when this oil price is going up, imports will go up, or the total figure that we are paying out for our imports, and this oil has a sort of lion's share in our import, as far as quantity as well as money is concerned. So high oil price is one reason, and the second is higher import bill of other items as well. At the same time, remember, our rupee was down as well. It was very down. So when rupee is down, of course you pay more on your imports. So these two factors, this higher import bill because of rupee and other things, and then you have higher oil price. So these two things are, I would say, basic reasons behind this high CAD. But now, at present, as we are talking now, Brent crude oil is down almost 30%. So when this price of oil was going up back in October, or when it was at its peak, everyone was aware about. When I say at its peak, I'm talking about this year's peak. So everyone was aware about this thing, that CAD is going to be your current account is going to be in deficit, or CAD is going to be a bit bad. But when it is down now, so government is bit relaxed that 30% down or price down in Brent crude oil, which is good for our company. So good for our country, I beg your pardon. So now the thing is, government is happy about, or a bit relaxed, right? It's not a matter of, it's not that big issue at present, that we are facing at present. But the thing is, this dependence on imported oil exposes us to this perennial problem. This is a perennial. A perennial basically means a problem that will be there as far as we are dependent on this imported oil. Because if problems are going on between Qatar and Saudi Arabia, then as well we will see that price will go up. If something is going on between Iran and USA, then it will go up. So we are basically exposed to external factors. This is one thing. The second thing is Western central banks and their monetary policy. I'll give you you can say easy to understand example here, right? This is Fed Reserve, FR, right? Fed Reserve is apex bank, just like our RBI, right? It is RBI of USA. Now, say for example, if you are getting a loan at present for, let's say, $100 loan on 2% interest, and if you invest this money in a developing country like India, one of the fastest developing country, then you will make 3% of this $100. So per month you'll be paying $2 as your interest, say for example, but you are making $3 per month, so you are making a profit of $1. This gap here is your profit. Now this is normal scenario when this monetary policy is tightened. That means if interest rate is raised by this Fed Reserve, and just imagine, rather than 2%, you have invested this $100 in India, and this 2% is changed, or it's raised to 4%, and the return that you are going to get is still the same in India. So you'll be paying 4% or $4 per month, but you are making just $3. So here you are making $1 loss. So what you will think is, rather than keeping this money in India, it is better to take this money out and put it back in the bank, or give the loan back, or invest it, or keep or park this money for time being in a bank in USA, because you are earning more. When loans become expensive, at the same time your deposits as well, you will earn a bit extra in your deposits. So you will at least do this thing, right? This is again a very basic or simple example, but this is how the flow is controlled. So this outflow, when this Western central banks, when their monetary policy is tightened, that this thing will impact this flow of capital in our country. And to stop this flow, right, what RBI will do is RBI will have to tighten, or it will have to increase these rates. So because of this thing, what will happen is that we may get a little bit of success in stopping, or reducing the speed of this outflow, but at the same time loans in our country will become expensive, and because of this thing we'll find a negative, you can say it will not motivate investors, or those people who are seeking to borrow some money and start a new business or expand their business. So investment will slow down, and this will impact our overall economy. So our aim should be to fight this external, like we can find some solution for this oil, or our too much dependence on oil, like technology or something. And one more thing that I would like to add here is this attitudinal change that is need of the hour, because this year, and the starting of this year, government formed a committee to see how we can curb imports, rather than it should be, we should have formed a committee through which we can discuss, or we can find out some ways through which we can push exports. So here as well, at thinking level, attitudinal change is the need of the hour. Now, implementable orders, we have some examples of orders that were not implemented. Like in 1981, Supreme Court passed an order to shift some graves from Muslim graveyard in Disapur, that is in Varanasi, and then entry of women of all age in Sabrimala. This is something that is not 100% implemented. Still, we are seeing troubles going on. And then we have this debacle of this firecrackers. There was this fixed time that Supreme Court issued, that and we know the story. Now, in this article, the writer is talking about two more things. They are associated with each other. Now, first one is this one, that Supreme Court has asked all high courts to designate as many sessions and magistrate courts in the concerned states to try criminal cases against sitting and former MPs and MLAs. If we go through the figures, then we find that there are 4,122 criminal cases pending against MPs and MLAs in 440 districts. We have some 650 plus districts in our country. So 440 districts, 4,122 cases, and these cases are criminal cases. We have shortage, we have lack of infrastructure, or we don't have that proper infrastructure of our courts. We have shortage and vacuum in lower judiciary as far as this judicial vacancies are concerned. So all these problems are there, and we have some 3.3 crore cases are pending, right, in our courts. So how we are going to do this thing? Because when we talk about criminal cases, right, we have to go through this cumbersome CRPC, then charges must be framed, witness examining, cross-examining, documents must be adduced in evidence, arguments must be heard. Possibility is also that the victim as well as this agency can investigating authorities may turn hostile. So you have to go through all these things, and you cannot just, speed is important, but at the same time, we need quality as well. Quality is one of the most important thing. So we cannot, compromise quality for achieving this quantity of number of cases sorted out. So that's the thing. Now the second, this thing looks a bit impractical because of various different reasons. And the second thing is this witness protection scheme of 2018. Now the thing is, we have talked about this thing last week, so not going into the details of this witness protection scheme, but for new students and for rest of the students, a quick revision is going to be financially as well as logistically a bit challenging, because financially. Let's say, for example, someone is working in a city of Mumbai, and if that person has, if that person is a witness, and if you ask that person, or if you have to shift that person to Mumbai, then from Mumbai to Delhi, then how you are going to how that person will do his job or business. If he or she has some parents or elderly members in his or her family, then how he or she is going to look after those family members. And are you giving money for the whole family? What about livelihood? What about kids' education? So there are a few financial and logistical challenges. Just implementing it is not going to help. I see this thing that the thing that is lacking in our country as far as our system is concerned is this trust, right? People, they don't have this trust. They know this thing, and this is something that is quite, the probability is quite high that see, MPs and MLAs are powerful people. So if you are going against them, then you can face a bit of friction. Many a times it is quite dangerous too. So until and unless people have this, this faith and trust that nothing will happen to them, they will not step, they will not come out and help the system. And 28.4 million cases in subordinate courts are, and 70%, there are this many cases, and 70% of them are criminal cases. So we are talking about what, millions and millions of witnesses. Are we going to give them new identity? How can, that is, how this is possible is something that looks a bit impractical at present. So that's what this article is talking about. Now this one is again a very interesting one, Tyranny of the Majority. Here it is talking about this book called by John Stuart Mill, and the book is called Considerations on Representative Government. Now each citizen is an equal shareholder in the political system. This is, as you can say in a nutshell, what this book is trying to teach us. And this book is also talking about democracy, that democracy is not the best setup, but as far as minorities are not facing any sort of life threatening, and if they are enjoying freedoms and flourishing, and things are all right, representation wise, society wise, political life, economical life, all these things are going very well with minority, then democracy is okay. It's not the perfect system, but it's okay, you can say. It's manageable. Now, back in 1949, H.V. Kamath, who was, one of the member of this Constituent Assembly, he said that our preamble should start with this phrase, in the name of God. And this voting took place. And of course, this was not accepted because the main thing is that our country is religious as well as non-religious. When I say our country, I'm talking about our government, right? Is religious as well as non-religious. Religious means, yes, government respects each and every religion, but it cannot support. It cannot work, against any one particular religion. It cannot be partial. It has to be impartial. At the same time, it cannot be biased. And it has to, keep itself away from, religion. At the same time, it should not be affected by religion, and it should not go against any religion. So that's what religious as well as irreligiousness of our government is all about. And we have this famous case of S.R. Bommai versus Union of India case of 1994. And in this case, the Supreme Court famously said that, or ruled that, equality is the essential basis of our constitution. And then this article, the rest bit of this other half of this article is talking about this Sabrimala and Ayodhya case. It's talking about BJP and Congress. So those things are not important for your exam, but these bits are. So this will help your understanding. It will help you understand the real core nature of our constitution. With this, let's go through some important news items. Key opposition meet today. So again, political news, but important. All you have to do is just observe what's going on, what BJP is doing and what oppositions are doing, because it's about observing and understanding the politics of our country, right? Understanding is important here. Now, Centre amends rules for minorities from 3 nations, that is Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, who came here in our country before 2014. And it's about minorities in those countries. 6 persecuted minorities: Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, Parsis, Christians and Buddhist. Now there are a few questions being raised, like what will happen with those Muslims who have left Bangladesh and they came to our country in India, right, in Assam, in this period of time. So what will happen with them? So that's a matter of concern. Now let's wait and watch for this thing. Let experts review GDP data, has been said by ex-CEA, that is Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramaniam. Former CEA has said that expert agency should look after this GDP data and not non-expert like Niti Aayog. He has not said this thing directly, but he has apparently, he was referring to this Niti Aayog. It's Judgment Day for Malia, so let's wait and watch. Let's see what will happen with Malia today. Is this a court in UK is going to deliver judgment on Mr. Malia. JICA stands for Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. And on your screen you can see some basic information about this bullet train. So it's in news because officials of this JICA held meetings with farmers and their representatives and other activists opposing this land acquisition associated with this bullet train. A Navy on a major capability upgrade. As you can see here, again you have one infographic, so just have a quick glance over it. And then we have two news items. History's greatest arm race in Asia, has been said by Shankar Menon, who is a former national security advisor, and he is saying this quad and this Japan and China's I beg your pardon, China's and China USA's tussle will create a bit of problem in Asia, and it will create this arms race, or it is creating this arms race situation in Asia. And FPI's foreign portfolio investments pulls out almost 400 crore in 5 sessions on global cues. So it's about this Uwe Phone, and chief financial officer of this Uwe was arrested in Canada. But you can see here things that we have discussed. FPI, foreign portfolio investors, are taking back their money from developing countries, and India is also facing a bit of problem because of this thing. These are your vocabs. This is the answer of Saturday's map-based quiz. Today's map-based quiz is give me the name of an island that you find in this portion here. Somewhere here you find a small tiny island. Give me the name of that country. Give me the name of the capital as well as why it is in news. And this is your answer for last MCQ. I have got one more MCQ for you guys. It's again, as you can see, it's a map-based MCQ. And you can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. That's everything. Do make sure that you share this lecture with other students, and please don't forget to hit the like button. I'll see you tomorrow early morning. Till then, enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.